Away from the multi-million-dollar beachside homes on Victoria's Mornington Peninsula is a community in crisis.
They are struggling to pay their bills, they're struggling to feed their family, they're struggling to pay rent. People are coming to us in greater crisis, in greater distress.
Every Monday, volunteers at Southern Peninsula Community Support hand out fresh produce to those in need, and lately the line's been getting longer.
I think there was a time where the face of hunger and the face of insecure housing, it was the man or the woman living on the street. What we're seeing now is the family living in our streets, the family living in your street.
Thank you very much.
Jeremy's lived most of his life on the peninsula, but recently he's fallen on hard times.
My case is a little bit different. I've just told I got cancer in April, going through radiation and chemotherapy, and I've been relying on these guys a hell of a lot. Thank God for these people, and they get the fresh fruit, fresh bags, they give them to me, it's veggies, you know, you can make meals out of that.
It's a story that resonates with Matt Donovan.
With my dad, we'd always been pretty close. In 2005, I went off to London and just lost contact with him. Couldn't get a hold of him on the phone, email, and my family could tell me where he was. We came back to Australia in 2010 and managed to reach out and get in contact with him. He came to my wedding, and that was about it.
Then, in 2013...
I got a phone call from Liverpool Hospital, and they sort of said, your dad's dying. You need to come and get him or put him into palliative care or do something with him.
That's when Matt discovered his father had been battling homelessness for 8 years.
Back when I was in London, he was diagnosed with cancer, didn't tell anybody, lost his job, money ran out. End up on the streets and, you know, was being looked after by different homelessness shelters and different people. 6 weeks after my son was born, he passed away.
Discovering how his father had struggled, Matt changed his life. After volunteering in food relief, he decided to test his skills as a farmer. In 2016, he created Food for Change.
My dad being homeless was the #1 driver. My mum is an amazing cook, and we always loved food and we always grew food, and the concept of Food for Change kind of grew out of that.
The produce he grows is donated to organisations like Southern Peninsula Community Support. They work alongside local supermarkets to salvage food that would otherwise be destined for the dump.
We have our food rescue with IGA, and then we provide support through food boxes. We're really here to help plug the gap with all the aid organisations that are across the country and provide them as much food as possible and get as many people fed as possible.
In the past year, more than 2 million Australian households ran out of food and couldn't afford to eat, sometimes for entire days. Homes with children are more likely to go without, with 1/3 of those households experiencing severe levels of food insecurity. That problem is expected to get worse.
What do you do as a parent when your son or your daughter comes up and goes, "Mum, Dad, I'm hungry," and that's it for the week? You don't have any more food for them. And that was one of the, I guess the tipping point was like, right, I'm just going to do something. I've got the ability, so let's see what we can do.
Since 2016, Food for Change has provided 1.8 million meals, and more than 1.2 million have been saved from landfill.
It's a local solution to a local problem. I mean, there are always going to be people doing it tough. You know, disadvantage isn't going away, but having access to fresh, nutritious food when the dollars are really tight, makes a huge difference for families, I think.
My hope is that nobody gets turned away, that anyone that turns up anywhere in the country can get the food relief that they need. And in a country like Australia, I don't see why it can't happen.
Oh, God. 1.2 million meals that would have been in landfill. This idea of food rescue, you can bring it back to your own house. I think every household in Australia can save money and make life a little bit more affordable by looking at what you've got in your fridge and using it rather than chucking it the minute it looks like it might be starting to wilt. And you know, shopping for the things that look a bit odd and those cheaper things as well. That all helps with the cost of living, and it's so crucial now. Like they said, it's not just people who don't have homes, it's people who are next door to you and might even be your own household.
And if you want more information on Food for Change, head to our links page right now.